now that we're done that, I am going to actually jump into the demo now. So as I mentioned, I will be showing you our construction/manufacturing blueprint today. So with most CRM solutions like this, everything is obviously centered around the account. So, opportunities are attached to the account, contacts are attached to the account, cases, if you're dealing with customer service tickets, are all centered around that account that we're dealing with, including our opportunities that we're trying to sell to a customer, obviously. So I'm going to open up one of our accounts here. Sorry about that. Okay. So I'm going to open up one of our accounts here. And one of the first things that I want to point out is the system has the ability to actually keep track of a customer hierarchy. So as you could see, sorry about that. That's what I'm looking for. As you can see here, we have Sharps Electronic Canada, which sits at the top of this hierarchy. Then underneath that, we have the London, Ottawa, and Windsor office. So this brings me into a very important point that a lot of the companies struggle with, and that is managing addresses. So on this account record, you have general information about the company. I'll come back to this, but based on the hierarchy, you can manage multiple addresses and actually identify which addresses are being used for which processes throughout the opportunity cycle. So I'll give you an example. In a lot of cases, we need to bill to one address, which might be the head office, but we need to ship a product or send a team to a different address, which is where the project might actually, or the manufacturing might actually be happening. So in that case, on the opportunity, we can actually identify which account is the billing account and which account is the shipping account or the project account. That allows the team that's moving this forward after the sales cycle to have all the information that they need to do things like send out invoices to the customer, or the logistics team to actually ship a product to the customer if need be, or supplies to the job site if need be. So very, very powerful address management there, but I want to jump into some of the other information. So obviously with any company, we have a company name, we have a phone number, we have email address, and all that relevant contact information for this company that you need. Some of the other things that are very, very important here are obviously we have a relationship type, which in this case would be customer. This could be a partner if you're dealing with a partner account. Sorry about that, I'm just going to reactivate my account here. So this could be a competitor, it could be a customer, it could be a prospect, a vendor. There's multiple different classifications of accounts that you'll probably need to keep track of. So in this case, this person may actually be a prospect because Sharps has not bought anything from us yet, but we may have an opportunity open with them that we're pursuing. We can also manage territories. So a lot of the times, especially with manufacturers, there's multiple territories that sales reps have to worry about. So let's sell our products into Ontario, and then someone else worries about Quebec, and there's someone else worrying about out west, which is BC or something like that. We can actually have your territories built in there so that we can start filtering these accounts by the various territories that they belong into. And this also leads us into security roles. We can actually tie security roles around these territories, so reps are only able to see the accounts that fall within their territories. There's a lot we can do with that. We work with your organization to figure out how your territories are laid out and how we can best build that into the system with tweaks and changes off of the actual blueprint. Some other good information to collect is websites, LinkedIn addresses, or URLs. I've already gone over some of the addresses as well. So that covers the basic information on the account record. Now, there's some other key pieces of information that I wanted to go through here. One of them being the engagement metrics. So in a lot of cases, companies will divide their sales reps into two types of teams, right? You have, and not always, but sometimes, you have the team that's chasing after net new opportunities. And then you have the team within your organization that's managing accounts and following up with these accounts on a monthly, bi-monthly, whatever it may be basis. So we've actually added a piece into the solution that allows for sales reps that are account managing to do so effectively. So if you have a look at this, we are labeling accounts as A, B, C, D accounts. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this concept. However, we can alter these days based off of what suits your organization best. But as you can see, A accounts we contact within 30 days, B within 60, C within 90, D within 180, and so on and so forth. So I am going to set this as a B account. And then I'm going to save this, which will refresh my record. And as you can see, my days left, my last contact date was actually yesterday. So I'm going to set that today. Sorry about that. And as you can see, my days left to contact has moved to 60. My days since last called has adjusted to 0. And my next contact date has been automatically set to 60 days out from my last contact date. Now, that being said, a task can actually be created automatically within the system and sent to Cindy Chan's activity list of things that she needs to do or follow up with. That way, when she comes in the morning, she can have an activity list that drives her daily activities of what she needs to do to follow up with all of the accounts that she's managing. I'm even going to take that a step further because we talked about 2 different types of reps, right? So we can have an owner, which is the person that closed the original account and is responsible for overseeing this account. But as you can see, Cindy is the account manager, and she's actually identified on this account as the account manager or the person that needs to reach out, follow up with this account every 60 days. So it really gives you the ability to manage multiple types of sales teams, not only territories and other things like that. So one of the next things I want to point out is the contact subgrid. So these are all the contacts that are related to the account. They could work for the account. They would work for the account if they're associated to the contacts grid. We can also identify a primary contact, which is the person, usually when you're working with an account, you have a sponsor or somebody that you're primarily dealing with on that account. The ability to identify that is very powerful because, knock on wood, say somebody gets sick or goes away or something happens, you need to know who that primary person to reach out to and get your updates from, or get that key information or communication from this primary person. You can also create other types of relationships, so people that are associated to these accounts. So in a lot of cases, especially if you're leveraging something like the Construct Connect integration, you're pulling in information about contacts that may not work for this account but are associated to it. So let's say Sharps Electronic Canada is actually building a building that they're going to use as an office, and they have an architect from a third-party company that's dealing with that account. You may want to link that architect. You can create a contact relationship with a contact, which company that contact actually belongs to, and then what is their role, and then a description of the relationship. So let's say, for example, Carly Brown was the architect. She worked for G Adventures Architecture. Her role was sales because that's the primary person that we're dealing with, but her description as the partner would be the architect for this account. So you have the ability to relate other contacts outside of the original contacts, the contacts that work for the company. So now I want to jump over to the assistant and the timeline, which relates to the engagement metrics. So I mentioned before that, we can automatically create tasks based on the A, B, C, D accounts and the last contact date. So I want to actually talk about where those tasks are housed. So the timeline is quite literally a very original name, but it's a timeline of what's going on between your organization and this organization. So some of the things that are on the timeline are appointments. So you can actually track appointments from the Outlook calendar or create appointments directly through here and send them out with Outlook invitations. You can track emails, and I'm going to show you how you can track emails through the Outlook integration shortly. Phone calls, pretty self-explanatory. If you have your phone system connected to CRM or Dynamics 365, what you can do is you can actually click the phone button here, and it will automatically create a phone call task. One other handy feature about phone calls, if I was to click this button, as you can see, it gives the ability to open this up in Teams because I have Teams set as my primary phone on my computer. And then it also opens up a phone call record with the person that I was calling. And it gives me the ability to enter a description or notes from the phone call as well, and an actual start and an actual end time for the phone call. So I'm not going to do that because it's going to hang up on everybody if I actually run that call. So I am just going to discard that. So just to get back to some of the tasks, you can also allocate activity scores, which is the ability to allocate scores to customers or leads or prospects based off of behavior. So for example, if they opened an email link, you would give them a score of 10, as opposed to if they just opened an email and didn't open the link, they'll get a score of 2. Based on those behaviors across LinkedIn, email, your omni-channel communication, so for example, chat as well as web tracking, we can actually give an accumulative score and identify which contacts or which companies are most interested in your products or services. and identify and actually, display those to the sales reps. So your sales reps are chasing after the leads, contacts, accounts that are most interested and most likely to convert into opportunities, as opposed to chasing after the accounts or contacts that haven't interacted with anything that your company has sent them or interacted with your website whatsoever, because they're obviously not that interested in your company. Okay, so there's a lot more I can go into with activity scoring and insights and AI tools that can help bring those key contacts that are interested up to the surface for your sales reps. However, we just don't have enough time today. If you'd like a demonstration of some of that functionality, we'd be happy to provide that. Please just reach out to Jared or myself after this webinar and we can set that up. Okay, so back to the timeline. As I mentioned, we have all those various types of activities here. So as you can see, we have a task, someone created an activity score, and various other information as well. So we have filters for the timeline as well. So we can filter by activity type. So let's say, for example, I'm the sales rep for this account. I am off for 2 months for some strange reason. Somebody has to take over for me. They can actually filter this timeline and they can go through all of the emails that have been tracked against the Sharps Electronic Canada account. So if I open this up, you can see we actually have the email thread that was sent and received through Outlook, not through Dynamics, directly here.